Hey, warrior, listen to me. Right now, in this very moment, you're sitting there. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're confused. Maybe you just woke up, and already you feel that weight pressing down on your chest, that voice whispering that today will be just like yesterday, and yesterday was just like the day before. You scroll. You consume. You distract yourself from the one truth you're terrified to face, that your life is slipping through your fingers like sand, and you're the one holding your hands open. You know this feeling, don't you? That hollow ache that no amount of comfort can fill. That restlessness that no distraction can quiet. You've been running from something, and that something is yourself. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, sat alone in his tent during brutal military campaigns and wrote these words: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that. The Emperor of Rome, surrounded by chaos and war, telling himself that the only real power he had was the power over his own thoughts. And here you are, with all the luxury and safety he never knew, still feeling powerless, still feeling trapped. Why? Because you've been sold a lie. You've been told that freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That happiness comes from comfort. That strength comes from avoiding pain. So you chase pleasure and run from discomfort, and every single day, you become weaker. Every single day, you give away more of your power. You sleep in when you know you should rise. You scroll when you know you should create. You eat what you shouldn't. You avoid what you must do. You silence the voice inside that's screaming for you to become something more. And all the while, you tell yourself you're free. But you're not free. You're a slave to your impulses, a slave to your comfort, a slave to your fear. Seneca said it perfectly. No person is free who is not master of himself. Look at your life right now and tell me honestly, who's in control? Is it you? Or is it the algorithm deciding what you watch? Is it you? Or is it the craving deciding what you eat? Is it you? Or is it the fear deciding what you avoid? This is the moment. Right here, right now. You can continue sleepwalking through your existence, wondering why nothing changes, why that fire inside you keeps dimming. Or you can wake up. You can remember who you really are. You can take back control. The Stoics knew something that modern society has forgotten. Discipline is not a cage. Discipline is the key. Discipline will set you free. Now, listen carefully, because this message is not for everyone. Most people will watch 30 seconds of this video and click away. They'll go back to their comfortable illusions, their easy lies, and that's fine. The path I'm about to show you isn't meant for the masses. It's meant for the few, the ones who still feel that fire burning inside, no matter how small, the flame. The ones who are tired of their own excuses. The ones who are ready to stop being victims of their circumstances and become masters of their fate. If that's you, if there's even a small part of you that refuses to surrender to mediocrity, then keep watching, because in this video, you're going to learn the ancient Stoic laws that will transform discipline from a burden into your greatest weapon. You're going to understand why the path to freedom runs directly through the fire of self-mastery. And you're going to discover how the philosophy that guided emperors and slaves alike can forge you into something unbreakable. This isn't theory. This isn't motivation that fades by tomorrow morning. This is a complete system for reclaiming your life. So turn off your distractions. Silence your phone. Give me your full attention. because what I'm about to share with you has the power to change everything. Number 1, the law of chosen hardship. Let me tell you what I see everywhere I look. I see people running from discomfort like it's poison. They structure their entire lives around avoiding pain, around staying comfortable, around never being challenged. They hit snooze on the alarm. They skip the workout. They choose the easy path every single time. And they wonder why they feel so weak. They wonder why life feels so empty. Here's what the Stoics understood that you need to burn into your mind. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is seduction. It whispers to you that you deserve rest, that you've earned an easy day, that there's always tomorrow. And every time you listen, you become softer. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you give away a piece of your strength. Epictetus was born a slave. Think about that. He had every excuse to be bitter, to give up, to blame the world for his circumstances. But he understood something profound. He said, difficulties are things that show a person what they are, not what they might be, what they are, right now, in this moment. When the alarm goes off and your bed is warm and your body is tired, that moment reveals who you are. When you're supposed to train and every part of you wants to quit, that moment reveals who you are. When you're supposed to create and the blank page terrifies you, that moment reveals who you are. The average person runs from these moments. They negotiate with themselves. They make deals. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. Just this once won't hurt. But the Stoic runs toward difficulty, not because they're masochistic, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand that strength is built in the fire, that character is forged in the moments when everything in you wants to quit and you keep going anyway. Marcus Aurelius would wake up every morning and deliberately practice visualization of hardship. He would imagine losing everything, his power, his family, his life. Why? To prepare his mind, to make himself resilient, to ensure that when difficulty came, and it always comes, he would not break. What are you doing to prepare yourself? Are you seeking out challenges? Are you deliberately choosing the harder path? Or are you still trying to optimize your life for maximum comfort? Here's your practice. Every single day, do one thing that's difficult. One thing that makes you uncomfortable. Cold shower. Extra mile. Difficult conversation. Creative work that scares you. Do it early. Do it when you don't want to. Do it before your mind has time to negotiate. Because every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're not just building strength for that moment. You're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself that you can be trusted, that when you commit to something, you follow through, that you are not a slave to your feelings. This is how you build unshakable confidence, not through affirmations, not through positive thinking, but through proof, through the evidence you create every single day that you are someone who keeps their word to themselves. Let me hear you say it. Comment below, I choose the harder path. Say it. Mean it. And then tomorrow morning when that alarm goes off, prove it. Number 2, the law of internal sovereignty. You want to know why most people are miserable? It's not because of their circumstances. It's not because they don't have enough. It's not because life is unfair. They're miserable because they've handed over control of their emotional state to external things. They need the weather to be perfect to feel good. They need other people to validate them to feel confident. They need everything to go according to plan to feel peaceful. and so they live at the mercy of a world they cannot control. They're emotional slaves, reactive, fragile, completely dependent on outside circumstances for their internal state. The Stoics had a radical insight, one that sounds simple until you really understand it. There are things you control and things you don't control. That's it. That's the entire foundation. And what you control is surprisingly small. You don't control the weather. You don't control what other people think or say. You don't control the economy, the traffic, the past, or even most of the future. You don't control whether you get sick, whether you face tragedy, whether the world treats you fairly. But here's what you do control: your thoughts, your judgments, your responses, your effort, your character. That's your domain. That's your kingdom. And the Stoic is the one who defends that kingdom with everything they have. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about how liberating that is. Someone insults you. They cannot hurt you unless you choose to be hurt. You fail at something. It's only a failure if you judge it as one. The market crashes. The rain ruins your plans. Someone betrays you. None of these things have power over your inner state unless you give them that power. But here's what you're probably doing: you're blaming, you're complaining, you're pointing to all the external things and saying, "That's why I'm upset. That's why I can't be happy. That's why I'm not where I want to be." And every time you do that, you give away your power. You make yourself a victim. You surrender your sovereignty. Watch how the average person moves through the world. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they're angry for an hour. Someone doesn't text back and they spiral into anxiety. Their team loses and their whole day is ruined. They're puppets, completely controlled by external strings they don't even see. The Stoic? The Stoic maintains their center. They understand that external events are neutral. It's only our judgment of them that makes them good or bad. Rain isn't bad. It's just rain. Failure isn't bad. It's just information. Rejection isn't bad. It's just redirection. When you internalize this, when you really get this deep in your bones, everything changes. You become unmovable, unshakable, free. Because no one and nothing can disturb your peace without your permission. Here's your practice. For the next 7 days, I want you to catch yourself every time you blame an external circumstance for your internal state. Every time you think, "I'm stressed because of work," or "I'm unhappy because of this person," or "I can't do this because of that." Stop. Reframe it. Take ownership. I'm choosing to feel stressed about work. I'm choosing to let this person affect my happiness. I'm choosing to let this obstacle stop me. The language matters. When you take ownership of your internal state, you reclaim your power. You remember that you are not a leaf blown by the wind. You are the mountain, unmoved by the storm. Write this down. I am the master of my mind. External events have no power over my peace. Comment it below. Tattoo it on your consciousness. Because this law, this understanding, this is where true freedom begins. Number 3, the law of disciplined action. You know what's killing you? It's not the big failures. It's not the catastrophic mistakes. It's the slow erosion. The daily choices that seem insignificant in the moment, but compound over time. You skip one workout and you tell yourself it's fine. You waste one evening scrolling and you tell yourself you deserved it. You avoid one difficult task and you tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. And each one of these choices, taken alone, means nothing. but together they're building your life. Together, they're creating your future. And for most people, they're building a future of regret. Seneca wrote something that should shake you awake. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Look at how you spent yesterday, how you spent last week, last month. How much of it was intentional? How much of it was you consciously choosing how to invest your time and energy? And how much of it was you just reacting, just consuming, just drifting? The Stoics understood that time is the most precious resource we have, and yet we treat it like it's infinite. We act like we have all the time in the world to become who we want to be, to do what we want to do. But we don't. Marcus Aurelius practiced memento mori, remember death, not to be morbid, but to wake up. To remember that this day, this moment, this is all we have, and how we use it determines everything. So what is disciplined action? It's not about perfection. It's not about never making mistakes or never having off days. It's about having a system, a structure, a daily practice that you return to no matter what. The Stoics had their morning and evening practices. Every morning, Marcus would remind himself of his principles. He would prepare himself for the day. He would visualize the challenges he might face, and every evening, he would review. He would examine his actions, not to beat himself up, but to learn, to adjust, to become better. What's your system? Do you even have one? Or are you just waking up and reacting to whatever comes your way? Here's what I want you to understand. Motivation is garbage. Motivation comes and goes. Motivation is an emotion, and emotions are unreliable. Discipline is what matters. Discipline is doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. When you feel motivated, you show up. When you don't feel motivated, you show up. When it's easy, you show up. When it's hard, you show up. When you're winning, you show up. When you're losing, you show up. This is the practice. This is the path. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you commit to this, when you build your life on the foundation of disciplined action, something amazing happens. You stop needing external validation. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop caring about what people think, because you know who you are. You have evidence. You have the proof of your daily commitment to yourself. The average person talks about their goals. They dream about their future. They wait for the perfect moment. The Stoic acts. Small actions, daily actions, consistent actions. They understand that every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. You want to be a writer? Then write. Every day, even when it's terrible. Especially when it's terrible. You want to be strong? Then train. Every day. Even when you're tired, especially when you're tired. You want to be disciplined? Then act with discipline, every day, in small ways, in big ways, in every way. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. You are not going to transform your life with one massive change. You're going to transform your life with 1,000 tiny choices. With the decision to get up when the alarm sounds, with the decision to eat the right food, with the decision to do the work, with the decision to show up, again, and again, and again. This is the way, not the sexy way, not the easy way, not the way that gets you instant results, but the way that actually works, the way that builds something real, something lasting, something that cannot be taken from you. Comment below, I commit to disciplined action. Say it publicly. Make it real. And then tomorrow, when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when it's just you and your commitment, prove it. Number 4, the law of emotional mastery. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly in control of your emotions? Not suppressing them, not ignoring them, but actually mastering them. For most people, the answer is never. They're completely at the mercy of their emotional states. They wake up anxious, and anxiety runs their day. They feel angry, and anger makes their decisions. They feel sad, and sadness colors everything they see. They're not living their lives. Their emotions are living their lives for them. And here's what's crazy. We accept this. We say things like, "I can't help how I feel," or "That's just who I am," or "You made me angry," as if we have no agency, as if we're just leaves blown by the wind of our feelings. The Stoics rejected this completely. They understood that emotions are not facts. They're not commands. They're reactions based on our judgments, and we can change our judgments. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his personal journal, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Read that again. You have the power to revoke your suffering at any moment. Not by changing the external circumstance, but by changing how you interpret it. This doesn't mean you become cold. It doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being controlled. You observe your emotions like weather passing through. You acknowledge them. You understand them. But you don't let them dictate your actions. Think about the strongest people you know. Not physically strong, emotionally strong. What makes them strong? It's not that they don't feel fear. Everyone feels fear. It's that they act despite the fear. It's not that they don't feel anger. Everyone feels anger. It's that they don't let anger make their decisions. It's not that they don't feel sadness or doubt or anxiety. It's that these emotions don't run their lives. They've created space between stimulus and response. Something happens, they feel the emotion, and then they choose how to respond. They've built that crucial gap where freedom lives. The average person has no gap. Something happens, they feel something, they react. Instant, automatic, unconscious. They're a slave to every emotional impulse that arises. They say things they regret. They make decisions they regret. They act in ways that violate their own values. And then they blame the emotion. I was so angry. I was so scared. I couldn't help it. But you can help it. You can train this. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would imagine everything that could go wrong, not to be pessimistic, but to prepare, to remove the shock, to ensure that when difficult emotions arose, they were ready. When Seneca knew he might face exile, he practiced being exiled in his mind first. He visualized it. He felt it. He prepared his responses. So when it actually happened, he was ready. He didn't break. He didn't let the emotion overwhelm him. He maintained his center. What are you doing to prepare your mind? Are you reactive? Or are you building the capacity to pause, to observe, to choose? Here's your practice. The next time you feel a strong emotion, especially a negative one, don't act. Just observe it. Get curious about it. Where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts are accompanying it? What judgment created it? Name it. This is anger. This is fear. This is anxiety. The simple act of naming it, of observing it, creates that gap. It reminds you that you are not your emotions. You are the one experiencing them. You are the observer, the witness, the one who chooses. And once you have that gap, you have power. You can ask yourself, what would the best version of me do right now? Not what feels good. Not what's easy. What would someone with unshakable character do? And then, regardless of how you feel, you do that. This is mastery. Not the absence of emotion, but the presence of choice. Over time, as you practice this, something incredible happens. Your emotional baseline changes. You become naturally calmer, naturally more centered. Not because nothing bothers you, but because you've trained yourself to maintain perspective. You've remembered that most of what we worry about never happens, that most of what upsets us doesn't matter in a year, a month, or even a week, that we're spending our precious life force on things that won't even be memories. Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." Change your judgments, and you change your life. Write it down. I master my emotions. They don't master me. Put it in the comments. Make it your declaration, and then prove it. Every single day, in every single moment, until it becomes who you are. Number 5, the law of purposeful solitude. In a world that's constantly connected, constantly buzzing, constantly demanding your attention, solitude has become the rarest luxury. And yet, it might be the most essential. You fill every silence with noise, every empty moment with distraction. You can't even sit alone with your thoughts for 5 minutes without reaching for your phone. Why? Because you're running. Running from yourself. Running from the questions you're afraid to ask. Running from the truth you're afraid to face. The Stoics knew that self-knowledge was the foundation of everything. Seneca wrote, "Everywhere is nowhere." When a person spends all their time in foreign travel, they end by having many acquaintances, but no friends. And the same thing must hold good of those who seek intimate acquaintance with no single author, but visit them all in a hasty and hurried manner. Think about that. He wrote that 2,000 years ago, and yet it perfectly describes the modern condition. You're consuming constantly. Information, entertainment, other people's lives, other people's thoughts. You're everywhere and nowhere. You know a little about everything and nothing deeply, including yourself. When do you sit in silence? When do you think? When do you examine your life, your choices, your direction? The average person never does. They're too busy, too distracted, too afraid. They'll spend hours scrolling through social media, but won't spend 10 minutes in contemplation. They'll binge entire series, but won't sit alone and ask themselves the hard questions. And so, they drift, year after year, never really knowing who they are or what they want, just reacting, just consuming, just existing. Marcus Aurelius, in the middle of governing an empire at war, surrounded by constant demands, still carved out time every day to sit with himself, to write, to think, to examine his character. He called it his inner citadel, an impregnable fortress that existed in his mind, a place no external force could touch. Where is your inner citadel? Or have you let the world invade every corner of your consciousness? Here's what I want you to understand. Solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is painful because you're seeking external connection to fill an internal void. Solitude is powerful because you're connecting with yourself. You're building a relationship with the only person who will be with you for your entire life. You. In solitude, away from the noise and opinions and expectations of others, you remember who you really are. Not who you're supposed to be, not who people expect you to be. Who you actually are, what you actually value, what you actually want. The practice is simple, but not easy. Every day, create space for silence. Turn everything off. Sit with yourself. Let the thoughts come. Don't judge them. Don't grab your phone the second it gets uncomfortable. Just be. Some days, you'll gain profound insights. Some days, you'll just be restless and bored. Both are valuable. Both are teaching you something. You're learning to be comfortable with yourself, to not need constant stimulation, to find peace in the present moment. You're also doing something else. You're thinking, real thinking, not reacting to information, not consuming other people's thoughts, but actually examining your life, asking yourself, am I living according to my values? Are my daily actions aligned with who I want to become? What matters most to me? What would I regret not doing? These questions don't get answered in the chaos. They get answered in the silence. And once you have these answers, once you're clear on your purpose and your values, everything else becomes easier. You stop being swayed by every opinion. You stop comparing yourself to others. You know your path. You walk it. Seneca wrote, "Be silent for the most part. Or, if you speak, say only what is necessary and in a few words." He understood that most talking is just noise. Most words are just filling space. The person who has spent time in solitude, who has done the work of self-examination, speaks with clarity and purpose. They don't need to talk much because they know what needs to be said. They don't need constant validation because they're validated by their own integrity. Start small. 10 minutes a day. No phone, no music, no podcast. Just you and your thoughts. Sit, walk, whatever works, but do it. Every day. Make it non-negotiable, because in that silence you'll find something you've been looking for everywhere else, yourself. Type this below. I embrace solitude. I seek self-knowledge. Declare it. Then tomorrow, practice it. Create that space. Defend it. Let the world be loud. You be still. Number 6. The law of acceptance and amor fati. Here's a truth that's going to make you uncomfortable. Most of your suffering comes not from what happens to you, but from your resistance to what happens to you. You have this idea in your head of how life should be, how people should treat you, how things should go, and when reality doesn't match your expectations, you suffer, you complain, you resist, you wish things were different. And all of that resistance, it's completely pointless. It changes nothing except your ability to deal with reality. The Stoics had a radical practice called amor fati, love of fate. Not just acceptance of what is, but love of what is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Whatever happens to you, turn it into fuel. Use it. Transform it. This is the ultimate freedom. Not the freedom to control what happens, but the freedom to control what you do with what happens. Think about the most difficult thing you've ever faced. The rejection, the failure, the loss. At the time, it felt unbearable. You resisted it. You wished it hadn't happened. But now, looking back, isn't it possible that difficulty made you stronger? That it taught you something essential? That it redirected you toward something better? This is what the Stoics understood, that we can't judge whether something is good or bad in the moment. We don't have enough perspective. What looks like disaster might be deliverance. What looks like loss might be liberation. So instead of wasting energy resisting and judging, we accept. We work with what is. We ask, given that this has happened, what's the best possible response? How can I use this? What can I learn? How can I grow? This is not passive. This is not giving up. This is the opposite. It's taking complete ownership. It's refusing to be a victim. It's saying, I don't control what happened, but I absolutely control what happens next. The average person gets stuck in resistance. Something goes wrong, and they spiral. They complain to everyone. They replay it in their minds. They ask, why me? Over and over. They waste days, weeks, sometimes years, stuck in resistance to something they cannot change. The Stoic? The Stoic accepts it immediately, not because they're happy about it, not because they think it's good, but because resistance is suffering and acceptance is peace. They take what happened, whatever it is, and they ask themselves, what can I do with this? And then they get to work. Epictetus, remember, was a slave. He was literally owned by another person. He had every reason to be bitter, to complain, to rage against the injustice of his circumstances. But instead, he accepted his situation and focused on what he could control: his mind, his character, his philosophy. He transformed his suffering into wisdom. He turned his chains into teachings that have influenced millions for 2,000 years. What are you resisting right now? What are you spending energy fighting that you cannot change? Your past? Your genetics? Someone else's actions? The economy? Aging? Reality itself? Let it go, not because you approve of it, not because you like it, but because resistance is drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's only hurting you. Here's the practice. When something difficult happens, give yourself 60 seconds to feel whatever you feel. Be angry, be sad, be frustrated, feel it fully, and then let it go. Choose acceptance. Choose amor fati. Say to yourself, this is what happened, I accept it. Now, what's my move? This simple shift from resistance to acceptance to action will change your life. You'll stop being paralyzed by circumstances. You'll stop waiting for things to be perfect. You'll start moving, always moving. Because movement is life, stagnation is death, and you don't have time to waste being stuck. Marcus wrote, confine yourself to the present. Not the past that you can't change, not the future that hasn't happened, the present, right here, right now. What can you do? Do that. Comment, I accept reality. I transform obstacles into fuel. Mean it. Live it. Love your fate. Number 7, the law of relentless consistency. You want to know the real secret? The thing that separates those who transform their lives from those who just dream about it? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not having the perfect plan or the ideal circumstances. It's consistency. Boring, unglamorous, relentless consistency. Most people want the dramatic transformation. They want to completely change their life in 30 days. They want the magic pill, the secret hack, the shortcut. So they go all in. They're on fire for a week, maybe 2 weeks. They're motivated. They're committed. They're telling everyone about their new life. And then, when the motivation fades, when life gets hard, when they don't see instant results, they quit. They go back to their old patterns. And 6 months later, they're in the same place, looking for the next quick fix. The Stoics understood something fundamental about human nature. We're not changed by what we do once. We're changed by what we do repeatedly. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Read that again. You are your habits, not your intentions, not your goals, not your dreams. Your habits, the things you do every single day without thinking, those are creating your life. So what are your habits? What do you do every day? And more importantly, are those habits creating the life you want or the life you're settling for? The average person has habits that were formed by convenience, by comfort, by short-term thinking. They scroll first thing in the morning. They eat whatever's easy. They avoid difficult things. They distract themselves constantly. And they wonder why their life doesn't change. Your life doesn't change because you read one book, watch one video, have one motivated morning. Your life changes when you build systems, when you create non-negotiable daily practices, when you commit to showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world. He could have done anything, had anything, avoided any discomfort. But every single day, he woke up early. He practiced his philosophy. He examined his actions. He maintained his discipline. In the middle of wars, during plagues, through personal tragedies, he maintained his practice. Because he understood, the practice is not for when things are easy. The practice is especially for when things are hard. That's when you need it most. That's when it proves its worth. You say you want to be disciplined. Then be disciplined on the days when you don't feel like it. You say you want to be strong. Then train on the days when you're tired. You say you want to be productive. Then work on the days when you're unmotivated. This is the test, not whether you can do it when you're inspired. Anyone can do that. Whether you can do it when you're not, when it's raining, when you're sore, when you're busy, when no one's watching, when there's no immediate reward, when it would be easier to skip it just this once. That's when character is built. That's when the transformation happens, not in the dramatic moments, in the ordinary ones, day after day, week after week, month after month. The tiny choices compounding, the small disciplines adding up, the consistent action creating momentum. And here's what happens when you commit to this. You build trust with yourself. Think about that. Most people can't trust themselves. They break promises to themselves constantly. They say they'll do something and then don't. They have no integrity with themselves, so they feel weak. They feel uncertain. They don't believe in their own ability to follow through. But when you consistently do what you say you'll do, when you honor your commitments to yourself, everything changes. You develop unshakable self-confidence, not the fake kind based on feelings or affirmations, the real kind based on evidence, based on the proof you've created that you are who you say you are, that you do what you say you'll do. Seneca wrote, "Let us therefore set out wholeheartedly, leaving aside our many distractions, and exert ourselves in this single purpose, before we realize too late the swift and unstoppable flight of time and are left behind. As each day arises, welcome it as the very best day of all, and make it your own possession. We must seize what flees. Every day is your opportunity. Every day is your chance to vote for the person you want to become. One small choice at a time. One disciplined action at a time. One moment of following through at a time. The path is not complicated. It's simple. It's just not easy. Wake up. Follow your system. Keep your commitments to yourself. Do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. No excuses, no negotiations, no waiting for motivation. Just consistent, relentless, disciplined action. This is the way. Type below, I commit to consistency. I build my life one day at a time. Say it, believe it, prove it. Now listen, we've covered 7 laws, 7 principles that have the power to completely transform your life. But here's the truth. Knowing these things means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Information without application is just entertainment. You can watch this video, feel inspired, nod your head, and then tomorrow do exactly what you did yesterday, and nothing will change. Or you can decide right now, in this moment, that this is where it ends. This is where you stop lying to yourself. This is where you stop making excuses. This is where you stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect circumstances, the perfect feeling. Because there is no perfect time. There's only now. Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most powerful lines in all of philosophy. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stop talking about who you want to be. Stop planning. Stop preparing. Stop consuming endless content about discipline and transformation. Be disciplined. Transform. Start right now. Today, this moment, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of change. Tomorrow never comes. There's only today, and today is all you need. Think about your life. Really think about it. How much time have you wasted? How many days have you let slip by? How many years have you spent talking about change without changing? How many times have you promised yourself that this time would be different? And what's different now? What makes you think that if you don't change today, you'll change tomorrow? You won't. You'll just get older, weaker, more regretful. Time is passing. Right now, as you hear these words, your life is moving forward. You cannot stop it. You cannot pause it. You can only decide how to use it. The Stoics practiced memento mori, remember death, for this exact reason. Not to be dark, not to be depressing, but to wake up. To remember that your time here is limited, that every day you waste is a day you'll never get back, that the person you become is determined by how you spend your days. Seneca wrote, "You live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. Of how much time has already gone by, you take no heed. You squander time as if you drew from a full and abundant supply, though all the while that day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. Is today your last? You don't know. None of us know. And that uncertainty is not meant to paralyze you. It's meant to liberate you, to make you realize that there's no time to waste on things that don't matter. No time to spend in resentment or complaint or comparison. No time to live according to someone else's expectations. Only time to be who you truly are, to live with integrity, to build something meaningful, to become disciplined, to become free. Because that's what this all comes back to. Discipline will set you free. Free from the tyranny of your impulses. Free from the weakness of needing comfort. Free from the prison of other people's opinions. Free from the chaos of an undisciplined mind. Free to choose. Free to create. Free to become. This is not easy. No one promised you easy. The path of discipline is hard. It requires sacrifice. It requires you to give up immediate pleasure for long-term fulfillment. It requires you to stand apart from the crowd, to go against the grain, to choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong. Most people won't do it. Most people will hear these words and feel that spark, that recognition of truth, and then they'll let it fade. They'll go back to sleep. They'll return to their comfortable prisons. And that's their choice. But not you. You're still here. You're still listening. That means something. That means the fire inside you hasn't gone out. It might be small. It might be barely flickering. But it's there. And today, right now, you can feed that fire. You can choose to wake up. You can choose discipline. You can choose freedom. Remember, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You are not your circumstances. You are not your past. You are not your feelings. You are the one who observes all of these things, the one who chooses how to respond, the sovereign of your inner kingdom. So reign, rule yourself with discipline and wisdom. Build your character like a fortress. Practice these laws daily. Choose hardship. Master your emotions. Take disciplined action. Accept what is. Stay consistent. Maintain your inner citadel, and love your fate, whatever it may be. This is the Stoic path, the path that emperors and slaves alike have walked for thousands of years, the path that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones, not through talent or luck or circumstances, but through discipline, through character, through choice. The path is there. It's always been there. The question is, will you walk it? Will you commit? Will you prove to yourself that you're more than your excuses, more than your comfort, more than your fear? I believe you will. I believe that's why you're still here. I believe that somewhere inside you, you know that you're capable of more, that you're meant for more, that this moment right now is the beginning of something powerful. So let's make it official. Let's make it real. Comment below your commitment. Not some vague promise, a specific declaration. I will wake up at 5 a.m. and train. I will write every day for 30 days. I will practice emotional mastery in every challenge. I will build the discipline that sets me free. Write it. Declare it. And then, when you wake up tomorrow and face that first test, remember this moment. Remember that you made a promise, not to me, to yourself. And the person you become depends entirely on whether you keep it. Like this video, if it resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to this channel if you want to continue walking this path together. Because this is not a one-time thing. This is a practice. This is a way of life. This is the Stoic way. And the Stoic way is not about reaching some final destination where everything is perfect and you've figured it all out. It's about the daily practice, the constant refinement, the never-ending work of becoming a better version of yourself. It's about waking up every single day and choosing discipline over comfort, choosing action over hesitation, choosing growth over stagnation. It's about falling down and getting back up, about failing and learning, about struggling and emerging stronger. This is the path. And you're on it now. You're not alone. Thousands of years ago, Marcus Aurelius walked this path. Seneca walked this path. Epictetus walked this path. They faced challenges you'll never face. And yet they also faced the exact same challenges you face every day. The challenge of waking up when it's easier to stay in bed. The challenge of doing the right thing when no one's watching. The challenge of maintaining character when the world pushes you toward compromise. They proved it was possible. Now you prove it. To yourself. For yourself. Because at the end of your life, when you look back on everything you've done and become, you won't ask whether other people were impressed. You won't ask whether you were comfortable. You'll ask, did I live with integrity? Did I become the person I was capable of becoming? Did I waste my time, or did I use it wisely? Did I live free, or did I live as a slave to my weaknesses? That's the question that matters, and you answer it every single day, with every single choice, starting now. Discipline will set you free. Now go prove it. Thank you for watching. Type your commitment in the comments, like and share this message, subscribe to continue the journey, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep walking the path, warrior. Your future self is counting on you.